Let's go.
We started?
Yeah.
Today, so I put out a story on Instagram trying to get ideas for topics, and we had some responses. So I thought we would talk about one of the responses I had. And I hope I pronounced the lady's name right. Susan Hope or Hop. I'm not sure. It's got 2 P's. But she said, have you talked about training dogs to do things that they were not bred for? I remember being criticized for mushing with my Irish red and white setters. It ruined them somehow.
All right.
And actually, I thought you were a really good person to talk about this with, because you obviously have a bit of a reputation for doing the IGP training or bite work training with breeds that are not typical in your workshops, etc.
Yeah, I think the purpose of the sport is changing, and I really promote that change. Like beforehand, purpose of the sport was like selecting best dogs for service, right? So if you had, I don't know, like Malinois, you did like Belgian Ring or IGP in order to select the best genes. So those dogs, the genetic pool, would be very suitable later on for military and police, right? Right now, the sport can be also a hobby, right? So you don't, it's not only about the breeding or doing it like seriously or tightening dogs, but also, you know, spending active time with the dog. And funny enough, like very recently I had like one-to-one session with one lady, and she said like the chapter in my book that is saying about, you know, spending active time with the dog, giving them a job, giving them outlet for, you know, internal drives, right? And that really inspired her to do more with her Vizsla, right? So as the sport is serving also other purpose, right? We can bring those dogs that weren't necessarily bred for, let's say, IGP or necessarily bred for other things, and just do it as a hobby. Do it just so you can build great relationship with the dog. It's like with children. It's not only, you know, you are playing football with them. It's even though if you know that you're not going to be professional footballers, right? It's just quality time and, you know, building relationship, but also giving outlet of internal drives.
Yeah, you beat me to that analogy. I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Score. I was first.
I think also sometimes when you get like a young dog, or any dog, I suppose, but you get any dog, like, I think it's helpful to just try things. And then sometimes you can be a little bit guided by the dog as well. Sometimes you get a dog with one thing in mind, and then like, I don't know, you know, you get a dog that you want to do agility with, and then actually you end up trying some scent work, and the dog enjoys scent work way more. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of have this dilemma of like, well, you know, maybe I should actually just do scent work because my dog really, really, like, that's far more the dog's jam.
Mm-hmm. But also, when I met you for the first time, you were more into monitoring, and then you kind of decided because of your dog to do like go into IGP. Am I right?
Well, I don't want to overstate it. I think I was like deciding. I wouldn't say I was into monitoring. Okay. I was trying. That's kind of the experience I had with her. Like at the time, I was just trying things, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of figuring out what I wanted, because at the time I wasn't taking IGP seriously. I didn't even know I wanted to do IGP. Mm-hmm. I was just like trying things, and I kind of got her with the idea of like, I just want to have a dog I can do things with. Like, I don't even know what the thing's going to be.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously I ended up doing the bite work stuff. I don't think she really, I don't know. I mean, I probably just didn't get deep enough into it, but I didn't feel like she had a preference between Mondio or IGP. I just felt like she just loved the whole bite work stuff, you know.
I'm telling you, IGP.
and then that kind of opened that like rabbit hole for me. But probably if she ended up being like way more talented at like scent work, or not even talented, that's the wrong word, more like just into, like passionate about I probably would have gone in maybe I would have
But
gone that direction.
one thing is you like the handler and the dog has to enjoy it together, right? Like I could, even if I had like the most talented dog in scent work, no. Like it's not my jam. It's not my jam. Or like the most talented dog in tracking. Maybe I would force myself to do it, right? But when people are choosing sports, it has to be fun for both of the parties. Of course, we don't want to force the dog to do something that the dog is definitely not suited. But that reminds me, I posted recently about confidence building in protection work, and Onyx was there. And then, Jesus Christ, there was one guy, like, he was like, it's disservice for the dog and disservice for the sport if you have to build the confidence. And I'm like, what is happening, right? What is happening if the dog is enjoying it and truly, like, this is for sure, she's enjoying it, she's liking it, and she has a lot of fun from the training. Will she win world championships? No. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing the sport, right? It can be a hobby, and even if you have, like, she's technically well bred for IGP, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I didn't really. Yeah, she's bred.
Okay, I'm not going into the breeding of your dog because that raises some questions.
Yeah. Well, people that are in the know will understand, but like, yeah, I didn't select her for IGP, but she has IGP lines in her. But with like regards to that comment, because I saw that comment as well, I thought it was worded in a strange way, like, because I wasn't sure if they were actually just anti-protection sports completely, or they were just anti the building of confidence.
It is,
because they were like,
probably that was someone that has no idea and just, like any legit guy, I don't think would be sitting on my profile and commenting that, oh, I'm building confidence in dog because like this is what we call training. Why would we, if you have the dog that does not have like any challenges, so are there dogs like that, right? Some of them, they are lacking confidence. Some of them, they are lacking impulse control. And this is like definition of the training to overcome those challenges, right? And then, so I didn't take it like seriously at all.
No, but
I replied, but then I got tired and I'm like, okay, man, like, like I compare a lot of time to children, because it just resonates with people. It gets them to think, okay, like I just did before, like children playing football. And the guy mentioned like, oh, how did he phrase it? I don't support the idea of equality of children and dogs, something like that.
Oh,
like something proportional like that. Like, okay. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, the dogs are not children. However, my dog is like child for me, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, you cannot do fun time with your dog as you would do with the child. So, yeah, I didn't take it seriously, but as we were talking about the purpose and, of the sport, and, that just came to my mind. But yeah, I'm also doing a lot of bite work with agility dogs or border collies or with the little terriers. They enjoy it. It has a lot of benefits, right? So why wouldn't, why wouldn't you do it? And with Lila, I recorded like very long podcast that I will post it soon. And then I asked her like, why you are doing it, right? Why do you do bite work? Are there any downsides of it? Are there any benefits, right? And then we discuss that into great details.
Yeah, I mean, I think what matters most is like, does the dog enjoy it,
Yeah, definitely.
If the dog enjoys it, like, why do you have to put them in a box about what breed they are, Like, if you have who cares what you have? There's those brilliant, like, really viral videos that go around of the tiny little dogs doing like their own little version of IGP where they're jumping on the sleeve and
Yeah.
stuff. And the dogs are freaking loving it. Like, and they look so,
Yeah.
I love watching it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
But like, why stop the dog from doing it? Like, okay, as you said, they're not going to go win a world championship, but they're having fun. The dog doesn't know what a world championship is. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
definitely. And I think, we shouldn't be looking at the sport as purely, program for a selection. Like right now. And I have like little, how do I phrase it? Like I'm on the mission to promote that because, our sports, like protection sports, are at risk, right? At risk of being banned. But also our dogs are at risk of breeding them so they don't get excited about anything and they don't have like any dogness in them, right? So we don't want the dogs to be chasing things, right? Because predation is a problem, right? So I would assume that we're gonna have like Vizslas that they don't want to chase anything, right? Because we will outbred that from them, or German Shepherds that they will not be protection dogs anymore, because we will outbreed them, breed that from them, and then we'll have like those like I don't know, like dogs without the character. I would say, so the sports are serving right now another purpose, and yeah, like it doesn't matter what sort of breed you have. Like if your dog enjoys that, and all the collies or those terriers, they enjoy bite work, right? Definitely the way to go.
Yeah, I think Susan's like comment though was in low. It's not just about bite work. She was just talking about sports generally. Like she was talking about getting like people being mean about the fact that she was mushing with her setters, and it's like I don't understand why anyone would care about that.
I know,
honestly.
I know.
Like you're just running your dogs. Like
I know.
And by the way, like when it comes to that kind of thing, like there are a lot more dogs that were used for like pulling than you would ever think. When you actually go back into like the history of dogs, you see pictures of Rottweilers doing the pulling the carts, and like a lot of breeds you don't actually like think about as being pulling dogs, like they were used for it. But who gives a crap? Like if you go back like 150 years ago, probably a Rottweiler didn't even exist. At some point, someone was like, I'm going to use this dog for pulling.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need like a massive historical like president? Like they didn't back then. Like you just go and do it. Like who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Cannot really agree more.
Okay, maybe your setter isn't going to go win a world championship, but that's not your goal. You're just here to have fun.
It doesn't matter. Like, the same example that I give over and over. Like, I'm old, and if I want to do jiu-jitsu on Sunday morning, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu on Sunday morning.
Right.
And then I'm done. And I will never compete. And yeah, like, I'm not going to be going on the competitions because, like, my body is broken.
Yes.
Is, like, if I will take part in the sport, is it disservice for the sport or to me? Like, I don't think so, right? You want to do something what brings some value to your life or to your dog's life, and doing different sports and trying different things is a great way to go about it.
I think the analogies are really, really good. Like there's so many things we do just for fun, that we don't have any kind of competitive aims for. And like, there's that saying like comparison is a thief of joy, and it's like, why do we need to compare our setter to like our purpose bred like Alaskan Husky or whatever, It's like it doesn't need to be done.
Yeah. Something was like I want to mention over here that for example, I think my dog would be not a bad support dog.
Okay.
And like I'm getting so much.
You mean like assistance dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has some gift for it, like 100%. Because I'm learning from Lila and my team that they train dogs for children with autism. So I roughly know what are the requirements, and he's so natural with it. Like so natural with it. Like it would be so easy to teach him those exercises. However, like I'm being dismissed because of like I did protection work with my dog. So technically speaking, we shouldn't have him like to work with children. However, I don't know, like as I will get older, I would like to have that dog as a emotional support, to bring me keys, to find me shit, right? To find my car. It's, it's still some form, I think, of assistance dog, right?
And probably your dog would enjoy you teaching them those things. Like,
Oh,
they would find-
definitely. Yeah.
And so who's to say that you can't do that? Okay, maybe you wouldn't register him as an assistance dog or whatever, but who cares? Like, who's to stop you from doing that because you enjoy doing it?
I think, like, he kind of is because of the things he brings to my life, right? So it's kind of like support dog, but I'm not going to be taking him on the plane. Don't worry.
But let me push back a little bit because even though, and I believe you when you say that about your dog. However, if you were going to choose an assistance dog, you wouldn't go and select a Malinois.
Yeah. And none of my previous Malinois would be good at this job. It just like him, after he turned like 3.5 years old, he changed, and I think like he like matured emotionally, and he's very responsive to like people's emotions, and like
3.5.
Yeah.
There's hope. That's how a lot of people can hear that.
Yeah. So, definitely.
I was talking to, went on my podcast a while back, I did an interview with Jens Frank, who's just maybe the best scent detection trainer in the world, like really super high level. And I think there's kind of an allure to off-breed sometimes, isn't there? Like, I don't know, I have that. Like, I kind of sometimes, I don't know, it just catches your eye a little bit more when you see a dog that isn't the done thing, like the done breed doing the thing. It's like, it's just kind of cool to see. And I was talking to him about it and asking him because I remember I did I dropped in just to drop some treats off to a client of ours that had a beagle. From like a working line beagle, and it was like no beagle I had ever met. It was in behavior a lot more like a working cocker spaniel, just so like bouncing off the walls, so much energy. And I think if I remember rightly, I told Jens about this, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to have a dog like that and try and do the scent detection training with him? And he was like, don't look for unicorns.
All right.
He said it's a really, I can't remember the exact way to do it. He said it, but like he was saying it's such a stupid like trap that people fall into where they're looking, instead of going to the breeder that has been breeding reliably like scent detection dogs for generations and generations, they want to go and get the unicorn like beagle.
Yeah.
But there's something just cool about it, isn't there? That
it is depends of your goals and the purpose, right? If you want to have like the best scent detection dog or any sort of other dog, like go to the breeder, like pick carefully.
Yes.
If, however, you just have the dog that you have and you just want to spend quality time with your dog, build the relationship, build the bond, give the outlet, and so on, right? But also like learn how to train the dog, and it's also like this element of discipline that comes into your life because you have to show up, you have to train the dog daily, etc. Like, why would that be any, like, why would anyone have problem with that? Like,
yeah, I think like we spoke about it before when we spoke about trying to encourage people to get into dog sports. I got my first ever dog was a Labrador, and like I did everything wrong. Like I bought him out of the back of someone's car, and like he was not well bred at all. Like it's terrible. But like super, I think like, like the way you talk about Fufik, I kind of feel like that about him, even though I would never go out and buy a dog like that now. Yeah. But like, he was just very special, like, you end up with a really special relationship with the dog, and like, but I wish going back that I would have done more things with him. Like I think it would have been. The crazy thing is, I was surrounded by gun dog trainers, but I never really did gun dog training with him. And I think actually I would have really enjoyed that if I would have taken that a bit more seriously, even though I didn't care about necessarily going out and doing shoots and all this kind of stuff. Just I think it would have given me a really good outlet for what I was already doing, because I was just going down the park I was training him every day, just with very little guidance, just like figuring stuff out, teaching him just all kinds of like nonsense. But I think I would have really, really got into it. And then maybe if I would have done that for like a few years or whatever, maybe I would have ended up going out and getting a dog purpose bred for it, because I would have got really into it, kind of the same way I did with like the IGP stuff. Got into it with Onyx, but I didn't select her for IGP. And then now I've gone out and selected a dog a little bit more with IGP in mind. So I think that's quite a natural progression for a lot of people.
Yeah. I see that over and over when, that's why, I do the workshop where all the breeds are welcome, like all the levels are welcome, just to try the sport and see if it's for you. And, like you do that with whatever dog you have. But if you, get into it or get hooked, then you can look like as a next dog a little bit more.
If you want to take it a bit more seriously, you want to be competitive, or you want to go to a higher level.
Yeah, but there is nothing wrong with really not going over there.
Totally.
I think
and there's so much to learn as well, right? Like we've spoken before about like how much you can learn from sports. And I think that always stopped me before, because I was like, well, I don't have a dog that's bred for this, My dogs are just pet line dogs. They're not bred for this. Like, and that always kind of was like an objection that came up in my mind whenever like the subject of dog sports was there. And in hindsight, I wish I would have just done it.
Yeah. So, but like you're not gonna make that mistake again.
I know. For people that are listening that maybe have the same objection come up in their mind, like, oh, I only have a pet line dog, so I can't do this dog sport stuff.
Oh yeah, like if they want, and like in my kind of department, if your dog likes to chase and bite, like go and try it. And it's a great way really to spend time with the dog. I think this is why like the scent work is such a huge thing right now, because most of the dog, like correct me if I'm wrong, I might be totally wrong, but most of the dogs can do it on some level. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be competitive, but it's not hard on the body. Every dog has a nose, like powerful, nose, and people can get into the sport. I train with a couple of guys that they do scent work with Rottweilers, and not really. I don't think like Rottweilers were
they're not known for it.
Yeah, are known for it. So definitely something to consider or go for. I think the benefits of doing sport on any sort of level are great. That's why, it's my mission to encourage people to try sports and with like whatever they have.
Well, the nice thing about dog sports is there's so many different things, so you're going to find something. Like, if your dog isn't really into IGP, maybe they'll really be into agility, or maybe they'll really be into tracking or scent work, or like there are so many different dog sports that you're pretty much going to find something.
Oh, definitely. I would like to do some herding.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never.
My dream is to buy a farm, get some cattle, and get some healers. Right?
Some healers.
Yeah.
Like the little Australian ones.
Yeah. Like
the cattle dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I've never heard you say that.
I know.
The cattle dogs, they're pretty cool little dogs.
They are gangsters.
Yeah, they are.
Honestly,
they can be quite serious dogs, right?
I know. Like the most, maybe not the most, like, but one of the dogs the most serious dogs that I ever trained, like very complicated one, was the Australian cattle dog. He was like complicated. Let's put it this way. Like he would be happy to herd the ducks and this sort of thing. When outdoors, he would guard them like against the foxes, but in the house, Jesus, he wouldn't let people to go in the middle of the night and get some water. He wouldn't let them to go down, or he wouldn't go to the crate. Like it was like we were solving one problem, and then he was coming with the new idea
Yes.
how to make like those people life more complicated. And he was very aggressive on the top of that. So he was like quite serious dog. But it was so funny that like that genetic potential that it wasn't suited really for a pet, like in the house. But happened to be a pet, and we were solving one problem. Let's say he would let them to go get some water, but then he wouldn't let them to switch the lights. So that was the journey with this dog.
Yeah, they can be quite serious dogs for sure. I've met a few of them, definitely. I mean, there's not really a lot of them in this country, but it's interesting with the herding because there's lots. Like, it's not really my thing, but I know there's a lot of different styles.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it can be really quite different. Like, it's very different, really. Like in this country, I think when you mention herding, everyone thinks of border collies.
Oh yeah, and sheep.
Yeah, but there's so many different variations. And again, like talking about off breeds, like I love it when you see like, I mean, it's not even an off breed, but when you see like Rottweilers or something doing cattle herding, and that was originally what they were bred for at one time. It's just no one's really doing that anymore.
Oh yeah.
Or like German Shepherds doing some herding. You know. Things you kind of forget about.
Definitely. Like I will agree. There is something super cool and beautiful when you have the dog that has those qualities, and the top of that, if the dog is good at it and is like off breed and is kicking ass those dogs that were bred for it, it's just beautiful and spectacular in some sense.
My newest dog, I always call him Lupe, but his pedigree name's Diogo. But his auntie is like a competitive herding dog.
All right,
she's one of like off of his pedigree. It's like she was quite high level in herding because they in that part of Germany, they're still. I think they have. I don't really know because it's not something I looked into a lot, but like I think that's quite a big thing for them still. Is maintaining the herding instinct.
Interesting.
Yeah, they have these big like shows. You can see like videos of it online and stuff. It's pretty cool.
All right, I will get into it. Like I'm interested. Like honestly,
but I don't know a lot about like Malinois and like Dutch Shepherds. I don't know enough about herding. Like I don't know what their herding style is.
No, I was like I just watched too many episodes of Yellowstone.
That is so funny.
And since I don't want to be a cowboy on the horse, then I think I'm gonna get the dog.
Really, you wouldn't be interested in horses at all?
Nah, not my jam.
If I had a crazy amount of money and time, I would quite enjoy getting into horses, I think.
Maybe I didn't get into it because my girlfriend, she was doing dressage.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had a horse when we lived in Devon.
Right.
We had a horse. Like I spent like so much time in stable, but I was the stable man. I was just cleaning over there.
Okay, this put you off.
No. Like I jumped on the horse, and I don't know. Like I didn't felt that thing that I should feel to get hooked like on it. Like it was just, I don't know, the horse didn't listen to me. I was like frustrated.
That's very funny.
But I maybe like this more cowboy style of riding a horse that would appeal more to me, because I don't know, have you ever rode horse?
Yeah, my auntie has like, she basically grew up really into horses. I think like a lot of people have this, and so when I was a kid I would go over there a lot and she would put us on her horse and whatnot, and I always thought it was really cool, honestly, but I just know how expensive and time consuming horses are, and for me in my mind it's like, when you if you ever get to the point where you had crazy money and you just had loads of time, and it would be really cool to get into.
I would have like 5 Malinois then.
Yeah, that too.
For sports, right? I don't think I could split my focus on horse riding. And so
Going back to dogs.
Horses, not my jam. At least not the way, like not the dressage way of riding it. Maybe if I will try like this more cowboy style, which looks cooler, I think.
I feel like we're straying far from dogs. We should probably get back to dogs.
Okay. Definitely, like message for today is stop giving a shit what other people say and do your thing with your dog. That's it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, if your dog enjoys it and you enjoy it, why would you be put off doing anything? You know, and don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do. Certainly,
Definitely.
There's so many gatekeepers, isn't there? So many people that like try to. It's really weird. It's a weird human psychology thing. They kind of want to stop other people from doing things.
Oh man, like this is one of my frustrations in the sport that I do in IGP. Like everybody wants to make it bigger, but nobody is welcome to join, right? Or people are struggling to even try or get any information. But on paper, everybody wants the sport to be bigger. I hear that a lot on the podcast, and yeah, but I hear that over and over and over how difficult it is to, even try the sport, right? So, speaking of gatekeepers, right?
Yeah, I think IGP has a particular problem with that, though. Like, I don't think you have that issue so much if you're trying to get into agility or something. And that is probably why agility is a massive global sport.
Yes, but another reason could be that the entry level for agility it's a little bit lower, right? I don't want to get more haters, but like with vast majority of the dogs can do the jump, or if they cannot, they can do the hoopers, right? So the same like with vast majority of the dogs can do some form of scent work. To do the bite work, you need a little bit more.
I mean, even getting a BH is takes time, right? Like it's quite
takes time, but it's just obedience.
Yeah,
and
but
temperament test.
I don't know enough about agility, to be honest, but I know that I don't know, from what I know about hoopers, for example, the level 1 I think you can achieve fairly quickly,
I have no knowledge about that. However, if my friends are doing agility, and I can imagine that you can, on your tiny level, not even titling the dog, not even winning any sort of grade, beyond the grade -10, doesn't matter, right? You can enjoy, if the dog likes running and can take any sort of jump, will have great time from doing it. So you can start it pretty much with most of dogs that are capable of running and jumping, where the entry level for protection sports is a little bit higher. You need the dog that will want to bite the sleeve or will want to bite the suit. I compare that to marathon and 100-meter sprint. On the high level, both of the things are extremely challenging, on the highest of competition, right? However, most of the people can run 100 meters, but not many people will run the marathon. I remember when I was a child and I was competing in running in my primary school, and we had to go to the doctor to get the stamp that we are healthy enough to take, to be in the competition. And the doctor didn't even look at me. Okay, go. Anybody can run 100 meters. Go away. Right?
Yeah.
Where if it goes for marathon, it's a little bit more challenging. I never run the marathon, for example. But and the same, we can argue it's similar in some sports. Some of them, they are more challenging or the entry level is much higher.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like we could go off on a whole discussion there, because I know it's a very hot topic when you have the issue of some people are for making lower levels that are much easier to try to get more people to feel like they can get into the sports. But then you have the counter argument of you're just watering it down. You're kind of, you're taking away from the achievement.
Yeah, like there was hot topic in with IGP1 where they changed the rulebook, made it less demanding, much more easy, and and the rulebook is changing again this year or next year. And yeah, I've got like mixed feelings about that because like I appreciate both sides of the arguments, right? Because like the sport should be challenging. Otherwise, what is the point of doing it, right? If it's not challenging, especially if you do the test and you get the dog for breeding, and if the test is not challenging enough, then we're gonna have a problem. But I understand also argument that we want to make the sport bigger, we want to make the sport more available, and so maybe the lower level should be easier, so more people can do it and more people can pass the test. I understand both arguments. Like it's really hard to find like straight away solution for it, because like both of the things are important. Like breeding good dogs is very, very important, but also growing our sports is also very important, right? Because we're gonna, like I say that properly, way too much. Like we're gonna be banned at some point, and the bigger we are, the stronger we are. And another thing is just building awareness of what the sport really is. Because if you have like Susie that is watching only like some bad protection training that is not really a sport, because we just keep the sport for ourselves. Some of the shit I'm seeing, I would be like, yeah, I'm not surprised people want that to be banned, right? But like this is why we should promote the proper sport.
It's not even really IGP though, is it? But I think, people that don't know, they put it all in one category.
Yeah.
But you go online, you see these videos of just like dreadful stuff, like protection training, and it's like, oh man, I'm thinking of some that I should probably show you at some point, because I think you'll, maybe that's a podcast episode on its own, but it's like so cringy, and just terrible training.
It is like, imagine a situation that you don't know what is boxing, you don't know what is karate, you don't know, jiu-jitsu, you don't know about existence of those sports, and only think what you are seeing are backyard fighters. Wouldn't you feel like, oh, that should be banned, right? Like that should be banned. But if you also know that there is a sport, and there is a way of doing it, which is, I don't know, more elegant and more sanctioned and etc., then your perception about fighting will be changed, hopefully, right? The same with our sports. If the only thing that is going online or is available is like, this protection training that is comparable to, backyard fighters, right, or street fighters, then, people will never know. Like so many people, they were surprised when I told them like we have world championships in Mondioring and IGP, right? And it's a thing. It's a big sport. People are coming from the whole world competing in this sport, and you would be surprised how many people were, like they were surprised and shocked. Like really, it's not, So
yeah, it's interesting. Like there's a lot of sports though, isn't there? I saw there was a big news article recently about the World Conquer Championships.
What?
Did you see this?
No.
Do you know what I mean with the conkers?
No.
Like, it's a kind of tree in the UK. They probably have them in Europe as well. Like they drop, like we call them conkers, but sometimes when I was in France, they have a lot more sweet chestnuts.
Okay.
But then in the UK, they have, they're called horse chestnuts.
Okay.
But people call them conkers.
Okay.
And then you put them on a string, and it's kind of almost like a bit like Beyblades, if you ever remember Beyblades. And you have to like hit each other's conker, and whoever's conker stays unbroken for the longest wins. But there was drama at the current World Championships because the person that won got caught with a steel conker that had been like painted.
No, it's like using steroids in sport. Oh man, yeah.
So, everything's got a World Championship nowadays.
Oh man, like I've seen some like bug digging like championships as well. So
Some what digging?
digging out bugs from the soil. Right?
I sent you the videos the other day of the hobby horse stuff.
Oh yeah. And you ask me like, how is it different than agility? Those are your words.
Only because I know you always take the mick out of it. Yes.
No, it's just, you call it banter in UK, right? And vast majority of my friends are doing agility, right? So
Yeah. But no, they are a prestigious event. It's not like the World Conquer Championship.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, when you go to the IGP World Championships and stuff, is a big deal for sure.
Yeah.
And massively prestigious to, I mean, not even just to win, just to just to get, there's some stuff I was thinking about when I was driving here. One thing that really irritates me about IGP sometimes is I feel like people don't celebrate the wins enough in terms of like in the other, because I like watching sports. So I love, like, we both love watching UFC and even like I follow football a little bit, but like the stats and the like Hall of Fame and this is the first person that ever did this, like that's a big deal in sports.
Oh yeah.
And in IGP it never gets spoken about, and it really irritates me. Like in the one thing, because I have that kind of sports mindset coming from other sports, when I see stuff in IGP, I'm like, oh wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But then you go online, no one's talking about it. Like the current FCI World Championships this year, I could be getting this wrong, but I think Brazilian winner. I think that was the first time a Brazilian has ever won the World Championships. Second place was a Doberman. I've never seen a Doberman get close, anywhere near that close. And like, I think they should be getting major respect for coming second in a FCI World Championship.
Oh yes.
With a Doberman, unbelievable accomplishment.
Yeah,
And
I think it's slowly changing. I think it's. I listened to some interview with American judge, and he said his son is going with the merge, like some IGP merge, which we don't have like that much over here. To his college or university, I don't remember, and everybody are saying like it's so cool, etc. But so I think, especially in States, it's changing a bit. But something what Janne Boch discussed with Ivan on the podcast. Why don't we have like Hall of Fame? Why don't we have
so true.
Like UFC is doing like this series of videos, like docu-style videos before any sort of big events, right? It would be like we discussed that before. It would be so cool to get the top guys and then listen to interviews with them. And yeah, somebody has to do it. I think, yeah.
You said about Yanni then, and there was this really cool thing that no one spoke about again. And I forget the other guy's name. Was it Martin Oliver or something like that?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name exactly. But him and Yanni, they had a little bit of almost like a rivalry. If you actually look at the competitions, like Yanni won something. So maybe there was 3 events, and I can only remember 2 of them. But one of them was Cassett. I could be pronouncing that wrong. I think Yanni won Cassett, and then
he came second.
He came second.
Yeah.
And then the next one, FMBB, he came first, Yanni came second.
Yeah.
And it was obviously a very controversial thing. But when you actually look at the competitions, like there were like 3 competitions where they were first and second.
Right.
If that was any other sport, like even like I watched a little bit. I don't follow F1, but they do a lot of that kind of stuff where it's like almost like the rivalries in the sport, like a big deal, right? Yeah. Like who's going to win this time? Look how, oh my God, they're being separated by the tiniest of margins. Like that's like the kind of stories that you get into in sports,
Well, yeah, like if you, I was on FMBB, in Italy when Yanni was competing, and the team that he has is just like amazing. And let me tell you something, because like I was there when he was competing, and the emotions were like everybody was watching, and his team, they were screaming their lungs off, like cheering him. And then when he got the result, you could see like the happiness, and so this is about the celebration. But there were people that they were like fucking moaning about that. Whoa, how they behave, da da da. And I'm like, are you mental? This is what the sport needs, right? This is what the sport needs. So we have like a little bit more, as you mentioned, celebration, a little bit more emotions over there, happiness, cheering, and support teams, right? Like anybody would love to have such a great supportive team that will scream their lungs off when you're competing, right? So, yeah,
Also,
I think the guy is important for the sport. Like I really do. With his social media presence, with his team, he's doing a lot of good. Not to mention that he's very good competition helper, like excellent. You cannot deny that. Very good training helper. Ivan said that. It's not me. So if you disagree, fuck off. Then very good handler. And then he's coaching people. Like he ticks so many boxes right now. And then he has good social media presence, right? This is what the sport needs.
I love it when you see people that are successful in multiple areas like that as well, because it's kind of different to be like it's an incredible accomplishment to be like a very successful handler, but then to also be a very successful helper,
and then be like very good in both areas. We tend to say that you have, training helpers and competition helpers, and very rarely the guy can do both. Like it's rare, right? And then to be like to do those things on the great level, and then to be exceptional, like in the handling and competing, and again in coaching people, like. Come on, man.
It frustrates me that these stories don't get told. Another one that comes to mind is Matthias Dogel, who literally creates workingdog.com, which is like ridiculous in itself, like absolute foundation of like...
Yeah, everybody are there right now. Like.
Exactly. Incredibly successful as a competitor. Like, just has like achieved so much, Also just completely... like reinventing the whole cassette formula right now. Head of or something, I could be getting the title wrong, but something like, I don't know what they call it, like head of the Malinois section of the RSV 2000. Like just so ridiculously accomplished across the board. And like there's people out there like that. And these are the stories that don't get told.
Yeah.
And I've like...
And then you will have people, let's say we are chatting about that right now, and guess what? There will be people that, who the fuck are they to discuss IGP? Like I promise you, someone somewhere will be fucking offended because like that.
Do you have to be like super qualified just to be a fan? Like I love UFC. I don't train MMA, but I love watching it. Like, do I have to be a professional to enjoy it?
Yeah, this is the thing, right?
Which is kind of bringing us full circle around to the conversation we're having, where people are saying, "Hey, do I have to have a husky to be able to do mushing?" Like, no, you can enjoy it. You can be a fan as well. Like, that's like you can just be a fan. Like, if you don't have to be a competitor to enjoy the Iditarod or like
Yeah. And I'm a little bit more strict like that, because like I don't watch sports that I don't do. So yeah, I was watching fighting when I was fighting, right? I stopped fighting, so I barely ever watch it, right?
But there's many people that don't. Like, look how big football is in this country, and most people aren't like playing 11-a-side football.
Oh yeah. I don't criticize it at all. It's just not, like I think. I enjoy watching something that I like understand doing. But yeah, like I totally agree. You can be a fan. You can, as long as you know what is happening on the field, you can chat about that. Or even, or chat about that just to learn about that. So And this is what the sports needs. Like there, in so many people, dog owners, they don't know they can do the sport with the dog. They don't know. They have the dog and they don't know that you can do the sport with the dog. So just talking about that and inviting people, so it like any sort of sport can grow.
Yeah. I think that's a really good place to end it. Like, I think
All
we've
right.
come full circle. This is good.
Okay, go. Okay, let's go train dogs. Yeah. Bye.